Welcome back to Book Break. In this video I'm continuing the series I've been doing here on this channel where I do a deep dive into particular authors that I think you need to know about. And today the spotlight is on an amazing author with a massive cult following, Cormac McCarthy. Cormac McCarthy is famous for his really distinctive writing style. It's very expressive, he uses punctuation very sparsely. He's also famous for his novels' graphic depiction of violence, and he writes most notably in the Western and post-apocalyptic genres. I'm going to take you through his whole back catalogue, tell you everything you need to know to be up to speed with the phenomenon that is Cormac McCarthy, all the way up to present day. And if you've been hearing a lot of buzz about him recently, it's because this year he announced not one but two new books, his first new novels in 16 years. Sneak peek here, The Passenger and Stella Maris are a duology of sorts, but we'll get there. First, let's go back in time. The year is 1965. This is the year that Cormac McCarthy's first novel came out, The Orchard Keeper, and he came in strong right out of the gate with this one, which won the William Faulkner Foundation Prize for Notable First Novel. The book has got biblical themes, which is a theme that McCarthy kept up in many of his novels, and it's about a boy called John who meets and befriends a man who, unbeknownst to either of them, killed John's father. From his success with this book, McCarthy was awarded literary grants, was able to travel around Europe, where he wrote his second novel, Outer Dark. And don't expect things to get any cheerier with this one. This book begins with a woman giving birth to her brother's child, the brother leaving the baby in the woods and telling the sister that the baby died. When the sister discovers that this was a lie, both siblings end up setting out separately through this post-apocalyptic landscape, and it's McCarthy's wonderfully expressive writing that brings this landscape terrifyingly to life. Book number 3 was Child of God, which McCarthy wrote while living in a barn with his wife, and his wife has since said that the couple were living at that point pretty much in poverty, even while universities kept calling up and offering McCarthy huge sums of money to come and speak about his books. He would turn them down, send them away, and the couple would go back to eating beans for another week. So it was during this time that McCarthy wrote Child of God, which is this really chilling novel about a man released from jail after a false accusation, and it's really about the terrifying depths that someone can sink to when not shown any love or dignity. So in this book, McCarthy is weighing up nature versus nurture and showing how a monster can be created and unleashed. Book number 4 was Satri, which is about a man living in a houseboat on the wrong side of the Tennessee River, and this book was actually written over a period of about 20 years, and it's semi-autobiographical. And the book wasn't a huge commercial success, but it was very well reviewed. And then came one you've all heard of, Blood Meridian. But did you know that Blood Meridian wasn't particularly well received when it first came out? The initial reviews were somewhat lukewarm, which is funny because now, 40 years after it first came out, this book is considered by so many people to be his magnum opus. It has been described by some people as the great American novel. As you might guess from the title, this book is very bloody. It was described by the New York Times as the bloodiest book since the Iliad. It's based on true events that took place on the Texas-Mexico border, and it's about a 14-year-old boy who stumbles into this world of extreme violence. This book also features one of literature's most terrifying villains, the Judge, who is this sort of timeless personification of pure evil. Some readers interpret him to be the devil, other readers interpret him to be a sort of wrathful god. But it was in 1992 that McCarthy first received widespread recognition with All the Pretty Horses. Up until this point, he'd been a really, really well-regarded but relatively unknown author. All the Pretty Horses won the National Book Award, which finally plunged him into the spotlight. This is essentially an epic coming-of-age story, if a rather melancholy one, that's an understatement, about a group of teenagers travelling to Mexico and coming face to face with the harsh violence and cruelty of life. And the massive success of this book led to 2 more in the series. This makes up the Border trilogy. The Crossing is again about teenage boys setting out into the world. It's the cusp of the Second World War and they find themselves waging their own war. So again, it's about the death of innocence, and it's about the cruelty that humans can show to each other. And then the trilogy is completed with Cities of the Plain, which brings back characters from each of the first 2 books and sets off this unstoppable, violent chain of events. So this trilogy captivated readers throughout the 90s, and then in 2005, Cormac McCarthy released No Country for Old Men, which had actually originally conceived of as a screenplay, and it does lend itself really well to being on film, as you will know if you have seen the Coen brothers movie adaptation, which I have not because it's violent and I'm squeamish. This book is about a man called Moss who finds an abandoned pickup truck surrounded by dead men, and inside the truck is a load of heroin and $2 million in cash, and Moss takes the money, which was a rash decision because he finds himself pursued by a ruthless serial killer who sees himself as a grim reaper. Anyone who comes face to face with him has come face to face with their own death. Hot on the heels of that one came The Road, which is about a father and son's bleak journey through this post-apocalyptic landscape hunted by cannibals. Their journey seems totally hopeless, but through the relationship between them you find this humanity and compassion. And once again, this was released to international acclaim. This book won the Pulitzer Prize for fiction. And that was 2006, and Cormac McCarthy fans have been waiting ever since then. So that gives you some context to understand the massive excitement that occurred when 2 new Cormac McCarthy novels were announced for release in 2022, the first of which is coming out just days from now. The Passenger, which is out this October, is about a man called Bobby Weston who is grieving the death of his sister from suicide. And it's a really contemplative novel as Bobby is trying to make sense of his life. But it's also epic in scope. The plot includes a sunken jet with a missing passenger. It includes the inventor of the atom bomb. It includes theories about JFK's assassination. And the best part is, if you find yourself desperate to get more of a glimpse into the life of Bobby's sister, you don't have long to wait, because Stella Maris, the second part of this duology, is out in December. This book is set 8 years earlier, when Alicia Weston has just checked herself into a psychiatric facility after being diagnosed with schizophrenia. And this is, amazingly, Cormac McCarthy's first female protagonist, something he has said that he has been waiting to write for about 50 years. And here it is, and it is worth the wait. So the books are sort of mirrors of each other, and such a striking set. Look at this, they look incredible together. So that was a really whistle-stop tour through Cormac McCarthy's back catalogue, and not even including the screenplays, plays, short stories and essays that he's written as well. So do leave a comment below if you are a Cormac McCarthy fan, or if there are any other authors you would like to see us deep dive into here on this channel. I will link here to a playlist of all of the other author spotlight videos that I have made so far, so do click through and learn about some of our other incredible authors. And I'll see you next time.